So my man Warren Buffett says, and you've probably heard this before, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Well, my friends, look at the fear and greed index. Like the fear and greed index, if you didn't know this was a real thing, it is a real thing. So if you went back like a year ago, we were 70, I saw like 90, 95% greed. Like people were like, there's not a care in the world. Everyone's thinking, things are going to keep going up. The market's great. Real estate's great. You cannot lose money. It's impossible. That was a year ago. You fast forward to today, there is extreme fear, and this thing is going down. It's getting more into the red. You may be a person right now who is experiencing like a massive amount of fear. And so here's my advice to you about that. So number one is, typically my experience has been is whenever education and experience increase, fear decreases. So that's kind of an action item for you, right? Is like get more educated and be willing to step out and get some experience as a real estate entrepreneur in some of the opportunities that are about to come our way. Because I've been through, I would say, one major market crash, which was in 2008, 2009. Came out of that with very little knowledge, right? I had just only been in real estate I began January of 2007. So I got in at the very peak, which is good and bad, right? There was a lot of things that I learned during that time that were incredibly valuable that served me through 2008, 2009. So I was able to capitalize and make a lot of money in 2008 and 2009. If I had a time machine and I could go back to 2008, 2009, I would have made so much more. I would have increased my wealth, I would say, so much more, and I would have made so much more money. But I only knew what I knew at that time. But those lessons that I extracted and that I learned in those experiences, I'm absolutely applying them to today's market. Now, it also went through another crash, so to speak, whenever oil and gas collapsed, and I think it was around 2012, 13 time frame. I was investing in a lot of high-end luxury real estate, and that hurt me really bad. I was able to weather that storm. I took some hits. I took some losses. I was able to perform on all my loans, like I mentioned. But there were lessons that I learned and I extracted from that I'm going to share with you today. But my thing is with you is that if you're higher on fear, right? And I'm not telling you be greedy, but if you're high on fear, remember what Buffett said, right? Remember what Buffett says, and I'll pop back real quick. Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. The thing is, my friend, the people are beginning to get fearful now. That is the time. We don't need to necessarily be greedy, but we need to start looking for opportunities that are going to be presented in the market. So there's a few things you should pay attention to during any market. That's where we are today, where we're heading tomorrow, and there's timing, right? When to get out, when should we get in, and when should we get out? And I will tell you, it's much more important to know when to get out than it is to get in. Or possibly it doesn't mean that you get in or get out. It means that you shift your strategy. You change some of the ways that you're doing things. Some of your numbers will change. Some of your analysis will change. Some of the factors that were insignificant before may become significant now. We'll talk about this as we go through the different opportunities in the market here in a little bit. So where are we now? So we know that unemployment's growing in the millions weekly. We know multiple industries have collapsed overnight, right? The cruise industry, for example, oil and gas, right? Like when oil is trading at like negative $40 a barrel, and I jumped ahead a little bit right there. We know that's crazy. That's not normal. That is not normal. And there's going to be repercussions for it. The consumer confidence and activity is like nil. It is like nothing right now. Real estate prices, where are we at with real estate? That is a great question. Obviously, this conversation that we're having here is very market dependent upon where you are at. But real estate prices overall across the U.S. at an all-time high. And I'll tell you that we've listed about 6 properties in the last 2.5 weeks here in the Houston market. These were flips and these were rentals that we did make-readies on and listed to sell. We're under contract on 4 of 6, and we had a contract on the other one, and then the person lost their job, right? So that's very pertinent what we're talking about. But right now, our real estate market is strong, right? We don't know what that's gonna where that's gonna go 3, 6 months, a year from now, 2 years from now. I will tell you this, that this is kind of one of the lessons I hope I can share with you, and this helps some of you listening to this, is real estate. You have to understand, real estate is typically a lagging indicator, meaning it's lagging what's other things that are going on in the market, right? The stock market will boom, crash overnight. Oil and gas just crashed overnight. It was crazy what just happened with oil and gas. Real estate doesn't usually do that, okay? It almost never does that. So we have to understand that where we are now is a place like we've never been before. What else is going on? There's a lot else going on. So the thing is that I'm a real estate investor. This is what I do. This is how I feed my family. This is how I'm creating wealth. This is how I help others. This is how I give to charity. This is how I'm going to retire someday, if I ever retire, which I probably never will. But this is my livelihood. So the thing is, rather than being fearful, we got to look for the opportunities. And there's going to be some adversity. So I would say buckle your seatbelt, okay? So the Google search phrase, "can't pay my mortgage," is up 900% from a few weeks ago. And the Google search phrase, "can't pay rent," is up $1,000 from a few weeks ago. So one quick story I'll kind of relate this to with where we're at in the market is kind of an analogy I use whenever I present to private lenders. People are interested in investing in my company or investing with other real estate investors. I wrote a book called Private Lender Playbook. And so when I do that, give that presentation to private lenders, I tell them, I was like, I need you to understand that real estate investing, is sometimes a bumpy ride, okay? And what I really tell them, what my job is as a real estate investor, right, is they're investing with me. They're investing their hard-earned money, capital, wealth, retirement, all that kind of stuff with me. I tell them my job is I'm kind of like a pilot, okay? I'm kind of like a pilot. What do I mean by that? What I tell them is, you know what? My job is to get your investment off the ground, and get it from point A to point B safely, right? And I've always been able to do that after hundreds of deals. But what I never promise, anyone during a real estate deal or during a real estate market, that there's not going to be any turbulence. Because a lot of times in a real estate deal, and definitely in the market, there's going to be turbulence. So you need to buckle your seatbelt. Keep your mind focused on point B, like getting to that finish line. But understand there's going to be some bumps along the way, and that's okay because these bumps are what create the opportunity. So what do you think, right? Do you think this is a terrible market? Then you're right. Do you think this is a market just loaded or soon to be loaded with opportunities? Then you, my friend, are also right. I happen to believe the latter. And I ask you, can you smell it? Can you smell the opportunity that's here? Because it's definitely here. And volatility most certainly equals opportunity. It's a matter of if you're going to be able to provide the solutions for the problems that are existing in the marketplace now, and they're going to be here tomorrow because there's a lot of opportunities. And let's face it, you're going to take advantage of it, which is the opportunity that is here, or it will take advantage of you. Because what I mean by this, and I haven't really addressed this yet, but during this time that we're about to go into, as we speak, there's millions of people being unemployed, like on a weekly basis. There are businesses going out of business. There are people who can't pay their rent. There are people who can't pay their mortgage. There are people going through incredible amounts of pain. So, I just want to address this and say that, when I'm talking about making a lot of money and creating wealth, and how there's going to be, a massive transfer of wealth during this time, it's true. It's absolutely true. But at the same time, we have to realize that on a lot of these transactions, there's going to be winners and losers, and that's just the way that it is. In any massive market correction, anytime there's a depression, there's a recession, correction in the market, the top 1 to 10%, to be quite honest, the top 1 to 10% initially lose the greatest amount of wealth because they're the ones holding all the wealth. But you fast forward to 1 to 2 years later, and your 1%ers, your 5%ers, your 10%ers, I'm not sure where you're at in that spectrum. If you're not, you should strive to be there, because within 12 to 24 months, the massive, overwhelming majority of wealth is also created and obtained by the elite, right? By the investing elite, by the wealthy. So you can either take advantage of this opportunity, or it will take advantage of you. And I've seen it from both sides. Now as an adult, and I saw it as a child, where my father lost his job. We lost our house. They went through bankruptcy, they went through foreclosure, all that kind of stuff. So I've seen the ugly side, and now I know that me as a father of 5, like, I'm not going to let my children experience that. I'm absolutely going to take advantage of the opportunities that are here. So the question is, how can you take advantage of the market shift? I'm assuming that's what you want to do. So let's dive in to how you can take advantage of the market shift. So do what savvy investors do. This is called modeling. This is, if you've never had a coach, if you've never had a mentor, I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching programs and mentoring, on just getting, consulting from elite business people, from coaches, from mentors, all that kind of stuff, right? And the reason to do that is, like, you do what successful people have done before you, right? You figure that out. And the thing that savvy investors do, the thing that the elite do, they know how to time the market. And don't think that you can't time the market. The key indicators are out there. You're not always right, but you can make educated guess on what to do, how to protect yourself, how to offset risk, things like that. You should know how to lean up and get liquid. Like right now, there are things that you should be doing or not doing in your business and in your family, being prepared for what is going on. Like, we have to be prepared for the worst, but also be prepared for the best and take advantage of the opportunities. You're going to buy at a bigger discount. That's what the savvy do. You need to have cash on hand. You need to eliminate bad debt as soon as possible. If you haven't, like, if you put yourself in a bad position, well, you did it. You need to start fixing it now. You need to understand that in these times of volatility, I've kind of already mentioned that, but there's going to be opportunity. And they get greedy when others are fearful, or really they become problem solvers. That's what savvy investors do. They become problem solvers whenever others are running away scared and not stepping in and filling that entrepreneurial gap that we all need right now. And I kind of mentioned, like, having cash on hand. I understand some of you watching this, like, Brant, I don't have 2 nickels to rub together. I don't have any money, right? I've never done a deal. That's okay, my friend. Like, you start where you're at. So I can absolutely relate to that, because when I started, I had nothing. My wife and I were living in that apartment. I used a credit card to borrow against to buy my first investment property. So, I'm not trying to scare any of you away or telling you can't take advantage of today's market because you maybe haven't, handled your finances in the best way that you can. You've got a lot of bad debt, credit card debt, car loans, student loans, all that kind of stuff. Been there, done that, but I got myself out of that. And you can too. So stick with me, because there's going to be ways that you also can take advantage of this. The opportunity is for everybody, right? Opportunity does not discriminate, not on race, creed, gender, sex, yada, 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 any of that. Opportunity is an equal opportunity employer, right? It's there for everybody. So why are there going to be so many opportunities in the marketplace? So let's talk about real estate, right? So first and foremost, first thing that comes to mind is new construction. It's going to stop. It's already halted. So there's going to be less supply entering the marketplace, number one, from new construction, right? Inventory in general. A lot of sellers currently, as of right now, they're not putting their houses up for sale. They don't know, they may not know if they're going to be in business in the next few months. They may not know if they're going to have a job. Even if they feel confident with their job or with their business, they're probably not going to upgrade. They're not looking to move. They're not looking at getting that house on a hill or getting 1,000 extra square feet or adding a pool or anything like that. So there's going to be less inventory. The thing, and that's good for us as real estate investors. What's even as equally exciting to me as a real estate investor is there's going to be less real estate investors in the market. Sorry, but that's the way it is. 80-20 rule is that probably 80% of the real estate, is being bought by 20% of the investors are in the marketplace. The thing is like, even with that top elite 10 to 20% of investors who are doing most of the real estate transactions and the real estate deals, those 80%, they put a dent in things too. That meaning the other 80% of other investors, it's kind of like a death by 1,000 paper cuts, if you've ever heard that phrase before. So we've got all these other little guys, so to speak, that are doing 2 or 3 deals a year. Well, that takes away, a lot of opportunity from us, because they're typically, they're less experienced and probably much less educated, and so they're making higher offers and taking deals that would be available to us. So there's going to be a lot less competition. I already know for a fact, as a matter of a fact, that a lot of investors have fled the market, and I know this by ad spend and some metrics that I've heard from other companies, well-known companies and marketing agencies, and their investor ad spend has gone, it's tanked. Supply, where we are going to have supply in the marketplace, is kind of supply we want. More motivated sellers. And then also another supply issue is going to be financing. So, the financial markets are an absolute mess right now. We don't know what that looks like, because at the time of this recording, the financial markets are changing every single day, and what's going on with the banks in the lending world. So there's going to be some opportunity, maybe on with owner financing, maybe with subject to. We're going to get into all those throughout this series. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But right now, a lot of our friends, other real estate investors, that were doing the 1 to 2 to 3 deals a year, they don't have the relationships that experienced real estate investors do, either with small banks, either with private lenders, even with hard money lenders to a certain respect. So they can't get the supply of money that we can. And I'm including you in this if you're serious about this, about taking your business to another level, because you just have to really figure out how you can take advantage of these opportunities, how you can get financing, because you absolutely can, because I've been there and done that. So what are the real estate opportunities in today's market? We're going to dive into each of these: flipping, rentals, wholesaling, subject to short sales, as well as other opportunities that may not even be on your radar yet. So I encourage you to go into the next video. We're going to talk all about the opportunities that exist in today's market for savvy real estate investors in the flipping world.